Throw the slack, you fucking moron!
Welcome, students, pupils, perhaps, to another episode of Screen Share, a movie podcast about waxing on, perhaps maybe even waxing off, maybe perhaps even whacking off. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
You want to restart?
I can see it in your face that like you were thinking that when I said waxing off, and I feel like I had to give you what you wanted. That was for you. I didn't do that for me.
Are we keeping this?
Yep. So this is the first episode
Pupils.
Pupils. This is the first episode of our new theme. Last month we did comedies, which was just, we had so many laughs.
I literally giggled like a handful of times.
Like once. You could fit one laugh in your hand. How much do you think a laugh weighs? One laugh.
What a stupid thing to ask.
So this month we're doing remakes month, where each of us chose a movie that has a very well-regarded, or like, I guess just like well-known original, and then also another one.
Yeah, like famous remakes.
Yeah.
Some that we didn't do that could fall into this category. Murder on the Orient Express. That could be one. There's probably another one that I'm thinking
What's
of.
the Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga,
Star is
Born.
Yeah.
But if we did that, we'd have to make it the whole month because there's about 45 of them.
You could probably classify like Spider-Man or Batman into this. But we didn't do any of that.
Instead,
Adam chose one of the most famous franchises in the entire globe.
and
The
that
Karate Kid?
is...
Oh.
I mean, they know. I had not seen the first Karate Kid.
You're
in my
expecting our
life.
audience to be illiterate.
No,
That's not fair.
Oh, that's true. If you can't read, well, you can probably see a picture.
They might be blind.
If you're fully blind and somehow got here, first of all, welcome. But
Nice job.
This episode we're talking about the original Karate Kid. I had not seen it in my life, in my 24-year life, until about, I guess, like 10 minutes ago. Yeah, 15, 20 minutes ago. So yeah, that's mostly why I chose it, because I wanted to choose one that I liked, but also hadn't seen.
And I think we should say you have more of a relationship to the Jaden Smith
That's
one.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Is I have seen the Jaden Smith one about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Which most people, when they hear that, would probably throw a sharp object in my direction.
That movie did well.
Yeah.
It did really well.
Which we'll talk about
on that episode.
2 weeks.
Yep.
In 2 weeks.
Not next week, but the one after.
Yep.
And for this month, I've chosen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So we're doing Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Gene Wilder, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp.
Yep. But this episode, we're talking about the original Karate Kid.
Yes.
And what were your thoughts? Because you'd seen it, but it had been a
long time ago. I thought it was good. It was kind of surprising. I think Ralph was a lot better. Ralph Macchio, the lead boy. Daniel LaRusso. I
was going to say Kaluuya.
I was going to say De La Rose.
Yep. Different people.
Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's very good.
He has like a weird sort of like Brando-esque like dramatic actor thing going on where he's like kind of like mumbling, talking fast, like natural, kind of like
a lot of really good one-line responses to things. Like he's very quippy.
Yeah.
And clever.
And I didn't expect him to be that good because I thought he was younger in the movie.
Yeah.
Like I know he plays a high school kid, but he's like 19 when he filmed the movie.
22.
He was 22?
Yeah. Apparently people didn't believe him when they were like, how old are you? And he's like 22. Yeah, he looks like he's like 13.
Yeah. So like he has a sort of maturity that's like very charming, basically coming out of a 17-year-old boy's body.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I just forgot how charming it was, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you know about like, you know, the like phrases of Karate Kid, the wax on, the wax off, the sort of, you know, what happens in the climax, the leg breaking, the crane kick, you know, the iconography, but you don't know the story.
Yeah.
You know my, what's that thing that people used to say? You know my something, not my story.
You know my name, not my story.
Yeah, something like that.
Or something. Yeah. The thing that hit me about this movie was there were a lot of things that were like beat for beat the same. I even said it to you. I was like, a lot of this is like the exact same as the Jaden Smith one. And you were like, well, I think it's more the Jaden Smith one is the same as this. And I'm like, I know. But it's just like surprising.
They just took a lot from for the Jaden Smith one.
Yeah. Which like we'll talk about it more in that episode, but like especially the beginning, like starts off with a scene of him and his mom leaving, and then
but they go to China.
Yeah,
right?
they go to China,
and he learns,
which like makes a little more sense because in that one, Jaden Smith is like way whinier about it.
Well, because he's also a lot younger, I think.
Yeah, in that one, he's literally like I think he's literally supposed to be like 13, 14 years old, and like
and a rapper.
And he moved to China from New York, which is like a way bigger change than moving from like New Jersey to California. Yeah. Like, which like to be fair, Ralph Macchio or Daniel doesn't really like complain a lot. Like I feel like he's like, it sucks here, but then he makes some friends.
He's pretty stoic in general.
Yeah. The only time he really complains is when he gets tossed down a hill on his bike, and then he gets home and he's like, I hate it here. And then Mr. Miyagi peeks out of his door for a second and goes back in. But like, nice.
You're welcome.
But like, it makes sense why Jaden Smith is more whiny in the other one, because like, that's a much bigger change.
And he's just a whiny fucker too.
Yeah, sure.
You see him in Pursuit of Happiness. Dad, I'm hungry. Dad, I'm hungry.
Yeah. We should do a
talk about the political
Smith
and economic state of the world.
We should do a Jaden Smith month. Watch After Earth.
After Earth, Pursuit of Happiness, Karate Kid again.
Yeah, we'll just do it again.
And he's got to be in something else.
He's definitely in something else.
Let me look it up. I want to know.
But I almost chose After Earth for our best and worst month, and then I was like, I got to do Cats because I know it's bad.
I'll give Shyamalan credit. That's an M. Night movie.
After Earth is?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow. Wasn't there a thing about After Earth where like Will Smith convinced the studio to invest a lot in like merchandising and sequels and like theme park stuff, and then it just never happened because the movie sucked?
Probably, man.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
He's got 2 sequels to one to After Earth, which I don't think is going to happen, and another Karate Kid, which
Definitely
I also
not
think
happening.
is a fan sequel. There's also Intergalactic. Did you ever see that pop up on your Netflix? It's an
I did.
animated
Olivia watched it. She
Kid
said it was
Cudi.
all right.
Apparently he's in that, and he's also in a movie called Life in a Year with Cara Delevingne and
Interesting.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and
Interesting.
Chris D'Elia and RZA.
Oh.
That got 82% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Interesting.
I've never heard of this movie in my entire life.
I mean, you can't hear of every movie. There's so many movies.
$43,000.
Oh wow! See, that's probably why then.
But it doesn't have any budget information.
Anyway, so like it struck me a lot how many things were the same in this movie to that movie, which makes sense. It's a remake.
I had the same experience with High Fidelity, which I don't think you've seen, but there's a movie with John Cusack, and then they did a show with Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
And I watched the show first, and then I watched the movie, and I was like, oh, the show like just rips off like a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Which is like, I guess it makes sense because it's a remake.
I mean, truly, it's just like doing it for a new audience.
Yeah, but like shots are literally identical in that one.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, now it's Zoe Kravitz yelling in the rain at her.
Have you seen the Jaden Smith one?
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw it when it came out.
Is that the only time you've seen it? Because I'm kind of excited to watch it.
I think I
with you,
saw it
honestly.
like one other time.
Okay.
But it's not something that really holds much aside from the Bieber song.
Yeah. When I was like a kid and watched it, it was like one of the few like movies that I had downloaded on my PlayStation Vita.
That's like me with the Love Guru.
Yeah. And I would just watch the Karate Kid all the time, like the Jaden Smith one all the time. I loved Jackie Chan. I thought we'll see when we watch it because I don't really remember, but I feel like I remember the soundtrack being pretty good. Anyway, we'll get to that one. Let's talk about the original one a bit more. The budget of this film came out in 1984.
Old. 22 or 42 years old.
Yeah. 43. Or 41.
Sure, man.
Technically.
Years over.
I guess. We're in August.
Oh, wait, no,
recording
it's
this.
not even close. It's not 42. 84? 39. 40's next year.
The math's not on my side.
Huh?
The math doesn't work with me.
Yeah, you got dumb brain.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't have dumb brain. I just don't have math brain.
Okay, what brain do you have?
I don't
This
know.
is like the Ken Jobs.
Ken Jobs?
You know, Ken from Barbie. How it's like,
Oh, how
job
he
is
does
beach?
beach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brain does
my brain does
audio.
no, not even.
No, like editing.
I think my brain just does like.
Like?
Yeah, like what I like. That's what I like. Bruno Mars. The budget of this film was $8 million and it grossed $130 million,
That's big.
which is pretty big, especially for 1984.
That is big. That's
So
a big budget movie. 80
Yeah.
million?
no, $8 million.
Oh, okay. I think you said it cost 80 million.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no.
I don't see that on the screen.
No, which
That's
then on the flip
massive.
side, $8 million for this movie. It looks pretty good for $8 million.
Oh yeah, well, because they shot a real movie like
Yeah.
Monty Python,
Yeah.
or even Everybody Wants Somewhere. Like it looks good, but they're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah,
But it's
there's
just
not like a bunch of CGI shit. They're not on green screens.
yeah.
Anyway.
We really don't do a lot of new movies on this show.
Not in a while. We did for a bit. Honestly, I think the newest movie we've done recently was Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe
that-
Game Night, I guess.
Yeah, I guess no. I think a Battle Angel was 19 and Game Night was 17.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very close.
Well, we're going to be doing some newer movies with these remakes. Well, actually, even those
No,
aren't.
those are. I think your Karate Kid came out in like 2010.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is like 05.
Well, all right.
Which is I'm kind of okay with because they look better.
Maybe we should have saved Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for when Wonka is out, so we can do a Bing Bong.
I'm
Boom.
not gonna
But that's
watch
not a
Wonka.
remake.
It's something though.
It's something. This movie was directed by John G. Avildsen, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And he also did Karate Kid 2, and he also did Rocky
He did Rocky 1, Rocky 5, also did Karate Kid 3.
3. Yeah.
And then has done like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
He's kind of an older guy. He's like 20 years into directing when he did this.
Yeah.
I think he started in like the late 60s.
Literally one of the main images on his IMDb is of him like in a chair, like with a bunch of people around him, and you can tell that they're talking to him like, yeah? You all right? Yeah? Yeah? Like, you know what I mean.
Sure.
All right. It was
What,
written
like he's
by,
an old fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was written by Robert Mark Kamen, who based the movie partially on his own life. Because as a kid, he was bullied and took up karate to defend himself, but he didn't like his sensei's way of teaching of revenge and violence, so he instead learned from someone who had been a student of Chojun Miyagi, real person, who founded Goju Ryu School of Karate by blending Okinawan and Chinese influences, which is literally just
wow.
Mr. Miyagi. So he
I thought that was like all kind of just like made up bullshit.
yeah, but it's literally like semi-autobiographical. Like obviously they made it a movie, but like
And he
Mr.
definitely
Miyagi
wasn't falling in love with Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah. Mr. Miyagi's basically based on his actual like childhood sensei, which
That's
is pretty
cool.
sick. Which I found very interesting. Obviously, we've talked about Ralph Macchio being great in this movie. Really fits the role near perfectly. But some other actors considered. This is always a fun thing.
Yes.
Sean Penn.
Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. He's kind of like... He's a little more rageful, though.
Robert Downey Jr.
That would have been really interesting.
Emilio Estevez.
I'm not really an Emilio guy.
Nicolas Cage.
He's too, like, whispery, I think.
Tom Cruise.
Dude.
He would, I think, like, young Tom Cruise would actually be pretty good with it.
Young Tom Cruise is so incredibly physical in, like, how he is in movies. It's great. There's this one scene of him in Color of Money where he's like playing pool and it's one shot and he's like dancing around the pool table to Werewolves of London and like syncing all these pool shots. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That's the peak of cinema.
And especially since he's such a little guy, I feel like it would just kind of like lend itself to being the Karate Kid.
I think he's just more broad than Ralph, though.
Yeah.
But I like that Ralph is like literally a beanpole.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there anyone else?
There's two more.
Okay.
And they are two men out of the 2.5 men, and it's Charlie Sheen and John Cryer.
I would not like either of those guys to do it.
John Cryer, though,
maybe
like,
a little chubby
I've
kid.
really only known John Cryer as he is in 2.5 Men, which is like that guy.
Yeah.
But like when he was young, like he was in something else. I forget what it is.
I can try and look it up.
But like he was in something else pretty big, and like honestly, I feel like young John Cryer would actually be surprisingly good in this film. But
Pretty in Pink,
maybe
Hot Shots.
Probably Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, I just never like. I feel like 2.5. I guess this was before 2.5 Men, but like.
Yeah. Well, this would have been when he was like a little child. Basically.
My view of John Cryer is like, I don't know. He just seems like a wet blanket.
Well, that's a good description, but that's the thing. I don't think he was when he would have been cast for this.
He was in No Small Affair, Pretty in Pink. Yeah. He was in Superman 4. If you've seen
That's
Superman
not what I'm
4.
thinking of for sure.
Hot Shots.
It was definitely Pretty in Pink, I think. Pretty in Pink, I think.
Let me keep saying more names.
No, we're going to move on because I don't
Okay.
care about John Cryer. We're not going to talk about John Cryer for more than 2 minutes on the Karate Kid podcast. DC Comics.
Oh, he was in Shorts. You remember Shorts?
There it is.
You remember this?
Nope.
You ever see this?
Nope.
Shorts?
Nope. Definitely don't.
Okay.
Definitely don't remember that at all.
Not So Tall Tales from the director of Spy Kids.
So DC Comics had a character named Karate Kid, and the
Interesting.
filmmakers had to receive special permission from DC Comics to use it for the title and like sequels and stuff. Which is probably why Cobra Kai is, I mean, also it's just a good name, but the Cobra Kai show is probably, I'm sure they considered being like, what if we just called it like Karate Kid The After Years? That's a shitty title, but you know what I mean. But they were probably like, but
what
then
about
we'd have
the
to
next Karate Kid?
see there you go. The Karate Kids, because it's a school.
The next Karate Kid is one.
Oh, it is?
It's got Hilary Swank as the
Right.
aforementioned Karate Kid.
Is that like when Home Alone started doing other random kids?
Pretty much.
Okay.
But
Now-
then Hilary Swank turned into an Oscar winner, not some kid who like probably is just doing coke now.
Sure. So I almost said this during the film.
I'm glad you didn't.
All right. We were watching, and I almost was like, dude, if this movie came out like now, like Mr. Miyagi would definitely get like an Oscar nomination. And he did get an Oscar
really?
nomination. Yeah, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, cool.
He did not win, I was
won?
looking at, I forget who. I looked it up.
I can try and figure it out. I'm kind of like the
Just a
laptop
warning.
boy.
It was I was gonna write it down, but then I couldn't confidently pronounce the name, so I was like, I'm just leaving it.
Okay.
But I didn't recognize the titles of almost any of the movies of the other supporting actors in the category. But
Purple Rain. I think that's the same. Supporting actor?
Yeah. In 1985 Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are year of Amadeus, Starman, Purple Rain. Yeah. These are all like well-known Oscars movies.
But anyway, he was nominated, which is cool, which made because I do think he's like the heart of the movie. Or you know what? He's like the soul of the movie. I think Ralph Macchio's really the heart. Like,
yeah.
I think he's
because Ralph Macchio's got the emotions, he's got the power, he's got the like anger and the sadness and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Mr. Miyagi has the wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Karate has done it here and here, not here.
Just for reference, Calder pointed at his head, then his heart, then his belt.
Not his penis.
Well, yeah, when we were watching, Calder was like, his penis? And I was like, no, his belt. And Calder was like, oh, even though they were just talking about belts.
Oh, Ghostbusters and Footloose came out the same year.
Oh, cool.
In Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's a banger.
In Temple of Doom. Interesting.
So, yeah, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Some other awards. Elizabeth Shue won the Young Artist Award for Best Supporting Actress.
She's very good.
Or Best Young Supporting Actress, I should say.
I think her character's a little, like, weakly written.
Yeah, I think it's like that. She falls a little bit prey to, like, a middle-aged man not knowing how to write a young girl, basically.
Yeah, she kind of comes and goes with whenever Danny needs her.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think it works for the movie, but it's not great, obviously.
Yeah.
But she's very good in the movie.
Mm-hmm. She's very charismatic.
And this probably helped her hook up with Bill Gates a couple years ago.
Did she hook up with Bill Gates?
After he got divorced, he was hanging out with, as the headlines say, a mysterious brunette in Elizabeth Shue.
Interesting. Didn't know that. I'll forget it soon. William Zabka, who played Johnny,
Yeah.
the main villain kid,
Looks
also
kinda like
won a
me.
Young Artist Award for Best Young Supporting Actor, and then Karate Kid as a film won the Young Artist Award for Best Family Motion Picture.
Wow.
I don't know if the Young Artist Awards are like.
I've never heard of them before, but that's something.
I
They
just
walked onto a
I just
stage.
figured they won some things.
Yeah.
Now, here is it okay if I just go some? Actually, we'll
Yeah.
save the fun facts for after. Let's
Okay.
just talk about the movie a little bit. So, how did you feel about the pacing of the film?
I do not think it should be 2 hours.
Agreed.
There's a lot of stuff, which I kind of get in a sense, because the movie is about like patience and Daniel learning patience.
Yeah.
So there is like something that makes sense about there being these like long, fairly quiet, fairly still sections of the movie.
Yeah.
But also like I kind of would have liked a little more karate fighting and not to have them like montage through like 4 or 5 rounds.
Yeah, because
I didn't really understand the rules. I know they mentioned them and it seemed like you kind of got them.
yeah,
But they like mentioned them in a bit of a rush to get to the ring or like arena, and then they're just kind of going and it didn't seem very consistent.
it feels very much like the first third of the movie is honestly pretty well paced, I feel.
And it's got a lot of music, which I think helps a lot. Like,
Yeah.
because it's doing pretty basic things like, oh, set up him moving, set up his mom, set up girl, set up where he lives.
Set up Mr. Miyagi, set
Yeah.
up the Cobra Kai school.
And then there's a point where like I looked at you and I was like, I think this is the first scene without music when he's practicing his kicks
Yeah.
from the book and Mr. Miyagi comes in to fix the faucet.
Yeah.
And I think that all works very well. But then there's like a couple times where like Daniel and what's her name?
Allie with an I.
Oh, right. Where Daniel and Allie like kind of like break and then come back together, where I think like you could probably take one of those out and it's still fine.
Yeah.
Because it's not like their relationship is so intense or like different or interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I think this movie's probably perfect at an hour 45.
I was literally going to say hour 45 feels about right. Because the problem is it feels like pretty good for the first third. Then it like, it's pretty slow in the middle, which sucks because I feel like I like the training stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the training stuff is very drawn out and slow. Mm-hmm. And like there's not really anything in between. Like once in a while there's a scene in between training days, but for the most part it's just like we see him waxing on and waxing off, then we see him like sanding the floor, then we see him painting the fence, then we see him painting, like it just feels like the stuff that is supposed to be boring is a little bit long and right after another, so then it just makes the middle of the film a little boring. And then they build up to the final fight, or like to the tournament, and then the tournament is like rushed through like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. It feels like it's building. It's my phone is going off. But it feels like the whole film is like building up to the tournament, and then the tournament barely happens, which we'll see when we watch the remake, but I'm pretty sure they balance that a little better, even though that movie's like longer.
It's a 220.
Yeah, so like we'll see how long, if that film drags. I don't remember it really dragging, but we'll see. But I do think they handle the tournament itself a little better because they actually show more individual fights.
Yeah, I think that I like mix the two together. Whereas like I was like, oh, you see his fight with each person in each round. But in this one, you kind of don't really.
In this one, you see his fight with like two people, and then you see him
it's not
watching the semifinals. And
they kind of montage through the fights.
Yeah, which they have the best around, which is like
good.
Was it made famous by this movie?
I have no fucking clue.
Anyway,
I have no idea about how anything works in terms of
the world
music.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know.
Do they just come up with it on the day,
or
do they actually
just, like,
write
hit
the
some
songs
instruments
down?
against each other, and then I don't know, something happens.
I'm convinced that most songs are improv'd.
Dude, I saw a comment online where someone was arguing that music is the worst art medium, where they were like, I don't get people who like music. Like, music doesn't give you anything that you can't get from movies or TV or video games. And it's like, my guy, you remove music from any of those things, it's like, I was going to say infinitely worse. It's at least half as good.
I think of music, movies, we could just say like film, and that includes TV.
Yeah.
Video games and books.
Yeah.
Music has the lowest barrier of entry to get into.
Yeah.
Which makes it so that there's a lot more, which I think makes people think that it's easy to make good music when it's actually not.
Yeah. And music makes all of the other ones better.
Yeah.
So like
a movie without music, unless it's like silence, but even silence has good music, but like unless it's like some sort of meditative like art film, wouldn't really work, honestly.
Yeah. And video games, like, music has been a core part of video games since the beginning.
Like literally like Mario and all that shit.
Like, I guess Pong didn't, but
it kind of like
people were freaking out about there being a weird thing on their screen, so they didn't care.
Did Tetris have music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just like I understand what they're saying, because it's like you can view music as like a bit of a lower art form, because like literally like we could make a song right now.
Ready?
I guess we could.
Ready? Let's do it.
Sitting at home, looking at the shelf, and there's no elf. Where is the elf? I don't know. Looking for the elf, it is a little hoe. Oh no, my Christmas wish isn't gonna come true, because the elf ran away, and his mom is dead, and my mom is dead, and my dad is dead, and I found them in the alley, and it looks like they died, and it looks like they got shot by the eye.
And he's done. He's done.
I was gonna go back in.
I know, but when you take a 3-second breathe in, I assume you're done.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty. See, like, that's the thing. Anyone can do that. So, like, is music even that good? I'm joking, obviously. Let's move on. So, yeah, I think that the pacing is a little bit rough. It's like good at the beginning, slow in the middle, way too fast at the end.
I think it's strange that, like, I don't know if this was a thing that they were doing in the 80s, but, like, a kid's movie being 2 hours long seems a little crazy.
Yeah.
Especially, like, a kid's sports movie, because I think, like, The Mighty Ducks has got to be a solid 90, right? Because this is a kid's sports movie. It's like... kind of like The Sandlot. It's kind of like The Mighty Ducks. It's kind of like those
The Big Green.
What is that?
It's it has the, like, freckled kid from The Sandlot in it, but it's about a soccer team.
All right.
Like
but, like, those are probably all like a nice 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, so I just think there's a lot, like, I think this movie is probably artistically better for having those slower sequences, because I think it's more interesting as, like, a viewing experience than having, like, a 90-minute rushed through cut.
I do feel like the slowness of the training scenes, I think it is kind of intended to be like, we're kind of like, what is this is so slow and boring, what's going on? And then we experience the same exciting revelation that Daniel experiences when Mr. Miyagi actually shows how to apply what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's all piecing together.
It all comes together.
Yeah, and it's, like, kind of exciting.
I just wish it was broken up a little bit.
Yeah. Like, I wish it was like, oh, now we're back to the boring training stuff. Not, man, we're still doing the boring. Like, it feels more like it goes on for too long than it is like, oh man, like,
and it
I don't know.
the fact that it's like 4 days feels a little cheap also, to be like, he's learned everything he needs to know in 4 days.
Well, he doesn't, not all of his trainings in 4 days. It's just the stuff that he does.
He said he's been working for 4 days straight.
Yeah, at the house, and then he like goes and they do the stuff, like, in the boat and on the beach and on the poles.
I guess,
because he says at the beginning, when they first go to the karate class and, like, issue the challenge or whatever, like, Mr. Miyagi says 2 months.
Yeah.
So I think
I know
train
they have
for 2 months,
but, like, the boring part takes place over 4 days.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, what the fuck else does he need?
just make it take place over, like,
A couple weeks. Because also, like, is he getting that shit painted in a day?
not well.
This guy knows. He's a professional.
Yeah. I'm a work as a painter. I haven't painted yet.
He gives absolute paint jobs.
Ideally, by the time this episode comes out, I will have painted at least once at my painting job.
Hey, you got to work your way up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I think it's kind of a classic.
I'm glad I've finally seen it.
And better than I thought it was going to be. I was a little nervous thinking about, like, how we're going to talk about it if it's just, like, a crappy kids sports movie.
Yeah, I do get scared whenever we do, like, a classic film that we're going to be like, it's not good.
Yeah.
And then, like, get lambasted for putting, like...
By who?
By putting, like, The Godfather at, like, 18th on our list. Not that would happen. I don't know. But, like, you know what I mean.
We got to figure out our mini-series for next year. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you watch some horrible stuff.
Don't talk about it.
We're switching to porno.
Yeah. Next year we're reviewing all porn films.
Screen cum.
Screen cum is the new. Wouldn't it, cum share be better?
Oh God.
Sorry, man.
I don't know. Movie's a lot of fun.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what much more there is to...
I kept saying that Ralph Macchio was kind of acting like Vin Diesel in like his early movies.
Yeah.
But then I realized that Vin Diesel started acting like 20 years after this came out.
Yeah.
But so Vin Diesel's kind of like Ralph is doing a Marlon Brando and Vin Diesel's also doing Marlon Brando. But like... I don't know. I guess it kind of works. Like, they actually make it work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who do Brando, and it's not good.
Like you.
You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding, asking for forgiveness. You're not gonna get it. I've spanked little boys like you for breakfast once, twice, 3 times in a single day. There's nothing they can do. I get them by the scruff of their neck, and I let them have it till their little rumpus is swollen shut. Is there anything else I can do?
That was easy.
That was good, huh?
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I don't know what much more there is to say. That's
That's actually
feel
a direct quote from The Godfather also.
Oh, all right.
Oh, one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is I mentioned this to you while we were watching it, but like, I don't know what it is that Ralph Macchio has. I guess it's just his charisma.
I think it's just
but
natural
like, it's
charisma.
the thing that Blake Jenner
doesn't have,
and everybody wants some. Where it's just like the innate charisma of like when he says goofy shit or does goofy shit, you're still kind of like, oh. With Blake Jenner, you're like...
Blake Jenner, it feels like an uncharismatic guy playing a charismatic character, whereas this feels like a charismatic guy
playing a weirdo.
Really just being himself.
Yeah. Where it's like at the very end of Everybody Wants Some, where he like says some French thing of like, oh, the band of whatever. I don't even know what he says. It's so unmemorable. But like an actor like Ralph Macchio could have sold all that shit. Honestly, dude, Vin Diesel would have been great in Everybody Wants Some. I watched Pitch Black and he is good. But like young Vin Diesel, obviously.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I can't really say anything on this. I haven't seen early Vin Diesel stuff.
It's show
just
some
like
to
you saying Vin Diesel would be good in Everybody Wants Some threw me through a loop.
You know who else would be good?
Who?
Paul Walker.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else would be good in it?
Who?
Paul Rudd.
Honestly, better than fucking Blake. Wife beater.
You mind if I just say a couple things from my notes and then
Is that libelous?
What?
Is that libelous?
What?
Is that calling him a wife beater?
Who, Paul Rudd?
No. Blake Jenner.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not libelous.
Okay.
Well, just throw allegedly in
it's
there.
a joke.
Sure, there you go.
My life's a joke.
Yep. Not yup. I didn't mean to say yup. I meant like,
yep.
Good.
Of course it is.
I'm just going to say some notes that I wrote, and then you want to get into some questions and fun facts, and then just wrap this
Can
boy
we chat a bit about Cobra Kai? Because I did a little research on Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah. Sure, if you'd like, yeah.
So the show is about Danny and Johnny, who are leaders of rival karate studios.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But the other interesting thing is one of the guys from that show is Blue Beetle.
Oh,
in
nice.
the Blue Beetle show.
Cool.
Movie. Which I think is kind of sad because that movie's been like hung out to dry.
Yeah.
They took that thing up. They weighed that sucker to see if it weighed the same as a duck and burnt it.
Monty Python.
So I don't know. I just think that's interesting that like Cobra Kai is producing stars, because also another one of those guys was in that She's All That or He's All That, whichever one has Addison Rae in it. He was in that, and he was like kind of bad.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that like people are getting picked out of that. Also, Peyton List is in the show.
I was gonna say I saw that on IMDb.
Mhm. I think that's interesting.
And also Elizabeth Shue is in a couple episodes apparently,
Which is pretty cool.
which is pretty cool. And then
It's got a good IMDb rating too, and I've heard people really like it.
Yeah, I hear people talk about Cobra Kai all the time.
Which is kind of strange because it started as a YouTube Red show.
Yeah.
And then it just like it went on to Netflix and became a pretty big show. And
Yeah.
they did 5 seasons of like a Karate Kid spinoff, which is just so like,
Wacky.
yeah.
I wonder if there was some like YouTube Red Netflix deal, because I feel like there's a bunch of YouTube stuff that has gone on to Netflix. So I wonder if when YouTube Red shut down, they like made a deal with Netflix that they get all their shit.
Red versus Blue also went on to Netflix.
Same with Video Game High School.
Yeah, that's how I watched Video Game High School. And Red versus Blue until they got into like a lot more anime type style. But yeah, it's kind of weird that this show has like become a big show that people are excited for. You'd think like Karate Kid TV show is not a good pitch.
Well, because I didn't even realize that it was like literally the actors from Karate Kid, literally in the same universe. Like, it doesn't really matter, but like quote unquote canon story.
Yeah.
But like, I think I just assumed it was like some weird spiritual successor. Because like, I just feel like it rarely happens that a sequel show or sequel movie to something, to a very old classic,
takes off,
actually succeeds and is good and
I
well
think
regarded.
the reason they could do that is because a lot of the people who were in Karate Kid did not become big stars. Like even Ralph Macchio, he didn't like really do much after this.
Yeah,
especially like after the 2000s, he wasn't like doing a lot, which is kind of surprising because he's
so
very good
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah.
But like even Elizabeth Shue was like not in a ton of stuff. And Johnny, I don't think I've seen Johnny in something where I've recognized him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of why they were able to do this. And I've also heard the show's just like good.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else on here before you ruin my life? No, I wrote down like 6 things. So, you're good. Ruin my life.
Alrighty. I'm just going to go through some notes and say some fun facts, and then I just say we wrap this baby up.
I'll try.
Oh yeah. The apartment that they move into sucks ass.
Yeah.
Like the pool sucks, the faucet's broken, it looks dirty, it's bad. But like I'm in Daniel's position. I see all of that, but then I'm invited to go to the beach and I spend an entire day and into the night on the beach hanging out with a bunch of people in California. I'm going, it's not that bad here. Like that seems like
until they fucking ditch you.
yeah, until they ditch you and beat you up.
Well, they didn't beat him.
They didn't. Well, they ditched him after he was beaten up by other guys. Yeah.
And that guy does not come back. That friend guy.
No. He just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bad guy.
The bully guy. I wrote him down as the bully guy. Johnny? But I meant Johnny. Has no game. He was very clearly trying to get back with Elizabeth Shue, so he stole her radio,
That's like
threw it on the ground,
kindergarten
ran
shit.
it over with a motorcycle, and then beat up her new friend and buried him in sand.
Yeah, it's
My
pretty sick.
brother. That's not gonna
My
work.
brother in Christ. What type of bread?
Rye.
You've never eaten rye.
I've had rye before.
Have you liked it?
You're a Wonder Bread kid.
Have you liked it?
Yeah, it was
Don't
alright.
accuse me of being a Wonder Bread boy when you're a Wonder Bread boy.
No, I was not a Wonder Bread boy.
No, you are now.
No, I'm not.
Adam, come on.
I'm a buns boy. I buy a bag of buns and I eat the buns.
And you wonder why you have financial troubles.
They're not more
Guy's
expensive.
obsessed with buns.
I do love buns.
Please, sir, can I have your finest croissant? That's you.
Yeah. I wrote down just a line
sorry.
it's okay. From Ralph Macchio that just says, "See, we think alike already." What was he
Ralph's
saying?
got game where they're just like talking about something and she's like, you want to get out of here? And he's like, I was just thinking that. See, we think alike already.
Yeah.
Or something.
It was like much. It was. I should have just written one of the other lines down.
Yeah.
Anyway, watch the movie. You'll see it. The shot where like it's in the restaurant and we see Daniel and his mom, but then through the window we see the Cobra Kai guys like leaving the karate class, talking, walking away. All of them go one way and one guy goes the other way and sees them through the window, runs back, gets the other guys, shows them. We see them all like reacting and being like, oh, he's in there. And then that leads to them following him home and throwing him down a hill.
Fucking road.
But like that was just a really good shot.
Yeah,
because there was so much going on, and
it was well staged, and also like the conversation they were having didn't feel unnecessary. Also,
yeah,
because you can have a shot like that, but like what they're talking about is dog shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he when he goes to the Halloween party and he's like, I don't want to be seen. I want to go as the Invisible Man. And then Mr. Miyagi's like, I guess I'll make you a shower costume. Just so skilled to make a shower. That was a great costume.
Well, he's a apartment handyman.
Yeah.
That's what he has on hand.
So he makes this shower costume. Daniel like
wears it to the
hooks up
dance.
a hose to like cover Johnny in water, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Which apparently the shots of Johnny like rolling up a joint were cut from some
nice
versions of the movie so that they could keep the PG rating.
Interesting.
Anyway, but then he runs out of the like party and into the street and causes a 4-car pileup.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
He ran out and they swerved and we were like, holy shit. And then they crashed into each other. And we were like, what in the world?
Yeah, it's good.
Which is pretty good. I liked how Daniel asked Mr. Miyagi what belt he had. And he goes, Canvas, JCPenney, $3.98.
Yeah, it's good.
Which is pretty funny.
There's a lot of good lines in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just wrote down that picking a car would be the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Miyagi's just like, hey, Daniel, pick one of these beautiful classic cars.
He obviously picks the yellow convertible, which isn't so
the
nice.
Correct choice.
Yeah.
But that's just insane.
The crane kick.
The crane kick was good. I wrote down the quote, Buddha provide. I forget what that was in response to.
When he gets the belt before the
he's
tournament.
Like, where'd you get this belt? Buddha provide.
Yeah,
it's like, really, he stole it.
Yeah.
Which is funny. And then the last note I wrote was abrupt ass ending. Because literally they don't even like build up the final round of the final fight. It just happens. He kicks him. He wins. They lift him up. They show a shot of Miyagi smiling. They roll credits.
That's how a lot of like old movies ended, though. There was no like denouement, which is like he goes back and he celebrates with his mom and they like have a dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of were like, oh, he's won. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like kind of nice because there's a lot of movies that just kind of like drag on a little bit, you know?
Which I get, but also you kind of do need a wrap up. I think in instances like this, like I needed, like, obviously I needed the ending to be paced out better.
Like you wanted to see
but even after that, I needed like 2 more minutes.
You want to see if Daniel and Allie are going to have kids.
So here's some fun facts.
Flash forward 10 years.
So here's some fun facts.
They're an 80-year-old makeup.
So here's some fun facts.
Mm-hmm.
Here's just a couple fun facts. In the opening scene, the kids chasing the car down the street, waving goodbye, are all from that neighborhood. They were hanging around set and interfering with the shoot, so the director offered to put them in the movie if they left them alone.
I like that.
So that's funny. The movie was more or less shot in sequence, which is very unusual for films.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense. Cool. You're working with a lot of kid actors and young actors. And
you want to get them into the rhythm of the film.
Yeah.
the yellow classic automobile that Daniel polishes in the famous wax-on, wax-off training scene, then later offered by Mr. Miyagi as Daniel's birthday gift, didn't have to say all that, I don't think.
Yeah, you probably didn't.
Was actually given to Ralph Macchio by the producer.
Whoa.
And he still owns it to this day. The car is a 1948 Ford Super Deluxe.
That's pretty cool.
Pat Morita, who was the actor for Mr. Miyagi, designed the bonsai logo that was on Daniel's gi himself. He designed it.
That's pretty nice.
neat. And last fun fact, the extras were so caught up in the tournament scene that they would boo William Zabka, who played Johnny, even when the cameras were not rolling. Zabka's mother was in the crowd as well and kept trying to tell people that he was actually very nice in real life, which I thought was funny. Anyway, so those are the facts. Those are the funs. Anything else to say about this movie, Calder?
What do you think about karate?
I think it's cool. I think I've been more of I'm more into kung fu,
Which is what they do in the next Karate Kid movie we're gonna watch.
Yeah.
They do not do karate in Jaden Smith's Karate Kid.
In fact, he does say karate, and Jackie Chan's like, nope. It's actually kung fu, which is kind of interesting.
There you go.
Then call it the Kung Fu Kid.
What do you think about the music in this movie?
I thought it was pretty good.
There's some bops. There's some bing bongs.
There's some bangers. There's some barzooples.
There's some.
There's some. Yeah. Yeah.
You ever been in a fight?
Once.
You win?
Yep.
Whoa.
I feel like I've told you about this. It wasn't really a fight. I won't name any names, but it was in like, I guess the 8th grade,
Bradley
early
Johnson.
8th grade. Maybe like late 7th grade.
Lives
I don't know.
1435 Hillcrest Lane.
Is that a real street, a real address? I don't know. But
Meadowville.
basically there was a guy in my class who was my friend at the time, and he was like really annoying one of my other friends.
You told me this.
And the other friend told them to stop multiple times, and this person did not. So I was like, "Hey man, she asked you to stop." And then he
Defending women,
like whacked
honorable.
my arm away. So then I put my arm around his, like the back of his neck. I was about to say around his neck, but then it sounds like I'm choking him out. I just put it around the back of his neck, and then I put my leg in front of him, and I flipped him. And he landed on his stomach. And then he told his mom, who was a teacher, and she made me apologize, but also made him
Where'd you learn that?
apologize. What?
Where'd you learn that? Karate Kid?
I don't know, just common sense. Actually, I'd probably seen the Karate Kid by that point, so yeah, maybe.
How old were you?
I mean, I guess I would have been like 8th grade, so that would have been.
Oh, like 13. So that would have been like
so it would have come
2013.
out like 2 or 3 years prior.
Wow,
so
you've been training
Dude, I think in my mind, I was just like, I got to get this guy
to stop.
down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I'll just
And you
like
also
remove
know
his
exactly how
legs.
long your arms are, too.
I also know exactly how long my arms
Yeah,
are.
so that's probably helped you in the long run.
Calder's referencing something that it must have been like the first time you came to my house
Yeah,
or
it was
something.
the first time I came to your house.
And I was like, you want to see something? I know exactly how long my arms are. And I went to punch his
you
face.
had a lightsaber.
Oh, right.
And you said, I know exactly how long this lightsaber is. And I was like,
Because it was
what?
extendable.
Yeah. So he would just like fling it out at my face, and then it'd be like an inch from my face, and I'm sitting there like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking kill me.
And I was like, this is how I'll impress my new friend. I do that all the time, though. Sometimes I'll go to the corner of a table and be like, I'm going to punch the corner of this table, and I'll punch it like a centimeter away.
Interesting.
I learned,
I was in a
learned
fight.
that from Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. Anyway, tell me about your
I was
fight.
in a fight and I lost.
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't really want to be in the fight.
Why'd you fight then?
It just happened. There's too many blonde kids. You wanted to eliminate one.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think that was why.
Actually?
Yeah.
Like you fought a blonde kid
it's-
and the blonde kid wanted to get rid of you because you were blonde?
Yeah.
Is this where your like blonde supremacies come from? Where you're kind of like, Aquaman's my favorite because he's blonde?
Well,
and
actually, Barry Allen's my favorite, who is also blonde.
supposed to be.
Yeah, and also not supposed to be like a kidnapper. But maybe we'll get that right next time.
Yeah.
I think it's just like
Grant Gustin is my Flash.
true. Like
Genuinely.
for
though.
real. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was like very weird, and I remember like
Was it like a fist fight or were you wrestling?
he just like grabbed me by the throat and threw me on the ground. And I was like, I guess I'm here now.
Interesting. Sorry that happened.
His name was Zach.
Fuck you, Zach.
Yeah, that seems all right.
Zach Randolph?
Nah, something else.
All right.
And then there was like some scruffs in hockey when I played hockey.
Oh, sure.
but nothing.
That's
for
a little
real.
different.
I did push a kid down and get a penalty once. I think I
Nice.
got like maybe 6 total penalty minutes in my hockey career.
Nice. And that was 5 of them.
Yeah, and I think I got 3 goals.
Nice. Big part of your life playing hockey then.
Yeah. I was a goalie for most of it. But
Oh,
I was,
right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, sorry.
But I was not a good player.
How many
And I think
saves did you have in your whole career?
Jesus Christ, probably a lot.
Hundreds?
Yeah, for sure. Because I had some like 40 or 50 save games.
Oh, wow.
So,
Cool.
yeah. Anyway. Adam Driver.
Honestly, I'd go with the Cobra Kai instructor, like the Cobra Kai sensei.
Oh, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. If we're aging them down, I think he could also do Johnny pretty well. Then again, he doesn't look like a little neo-Nazi like all those boys do.
Honestly, if we're aging them down, he could probably even do Daniel.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he could be pretty good at, like...
That sort of weird charisma. He has a bit of a weird
He has a weird charisma.
But I don't feel like
I feel like he'd nail, like, the confusion of, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah. I could see him playing a Miyagi, though, if he was Italian.
Sure. I don't know. I feel like the Cobra Kai instructor is, like, the one that he'd do the best.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one.
Or the random teacher who talks to
about
Daniel
like,
about
the history of, as they say, the Indians.
Yeah, they're talking about Native Americans, or he asks him to tell him
About
more.
like how they got horses or something.
Yeah, but the teacher says, "Oh, what did he say?"
The
Oh
Indians,
yeah, he said the quote. This is a quote from him. I'm not saying
Yeah.
this. This is what he says in the film. He says the Indians were a tribe,
a primitive tribe.
a primitive tribe across America.
Yeah.
He's implying that Native Americans were one tribe.
Yeah.
That were quote unquote primitive, and also they were across America. Talking about them like they weren't there first.
It's like they spread across the entire continent, but also were very primitive. It's just strange.
It was just a very weird line.
It's a very 80s line.
Yeah.
Of like, I don't fucking know about these guys, but here's the history lesson.
Yeah, definitely some weird. Weird. I mean, that's not history. That's just a guy saying something.
Well, that was history then.
I know.
Yeah. I think Adam Driver could also play Allie's dad.
Yeah.
That's just like an easy one for him to be put into.
I do find, like, I guess it's because I'm not really, like, I haven't really experienced that world, but it always baffles me in movies when there's parents that are like, you want to hang out with the kid who's not from a rich area? Meh. It's like,
Yeah, it's
just a guy. That's just a guy. Like, what are you talking about?
Well,
like, you
'cause,
think
like-
he's going to be a bad influence on your daughter and he's going to rub some of his poor off on her? Like, is that it?
A thing where it's like, number one, buddy, if you're that worried about her rubbing shoulders with poor people, send her to a private school. Because
Sure.
that's a public school, obviously.
Yeah.
But number two, like, some rich people just kind of fucking suck, and they have
Yeah.
this like weird mentality of like, we have to merge with a good family, like sort of like kings and
It's like
queens. where
eugenics
it's, like,
garbage. It's like,
not quite eugenics.
I know it's not eugenics,
like,
but I mean, like, it's the same kind
it's
of
like
mindset,
monarchy
just in
kinda
a
shit.
different.
Like
it's-
empire building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's like eugenics, but like the class version instead of the race version. You know what I mean? Where it's like we can't muddy our family line with those people. It's like,
What's his
it just,
name?
like,
Macchio? What is he, Italian? No, thank you.
it's just like whenever that's in a movie or something. Like Olivia and I were rewatching some episodes of Gravity Falls recently, and there's a family that's like in that movie or in that show that's like that as a joke.
Yeah.
But like whenever I see it in things like this where it's like it's supposed to be like a real character, a real person, it's like I just truly don't understand it and I hate it. Anyway.
And I think there's also an elitism to like him being from like Jersey.
Yeah.
And them being from or like Encino.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, rank. I know. It's so hard for you.
You got to go first because
you're
it's
so
my
hard
movie.
right now.
You
You're
got to
so
go first
hard
because
right
it's
now.
my movie.
You're so hard right now. What did I say?
Because it's my movie, you go first. You say your opinion first.
Copy, paste it. Belly button, can I taste it?
Shout out Queef Jerky.
I think maybe like 16. What do you think? That's currently the spot taken by Scream. Be just below Fast 5. I think it's good.
I'd put it a little higher personally.
How much higher? Like Marriage Story?
No.
Where above Fast 5?
Maybe.
Above West Side?
Yeah, I was thinking above West Side under Marriage
Interesting.
Story.
Why? Is it because... Make your case.
I don't know. I just think that it's a movie with a lot of heart. Yeah,
you have a heart on right now? A Kevin Hart on? This guy's got a Kevin Hart on right now. Die Hart. The hilarious special by Kevin Hart.
We've talked about this before. Sorry to interrupt you.
I was actually talking about something important, so you can just...
I know we've talked about this before, how like our like 13 to 25 range is like kind of muddy and weird.
Yeah.
Cuz like I kind of don't want to put this above like John Wick and like About Time. But like I'm fine putting it, or I also don't want to put it below like West Side Story and like...
Yeah. I think this movie is a very effective family movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's aged pretty well, aside from like some minor slow pacing.
Yeah.
There's nothing really like wrong with it. The action scenes at the end aren't the best, but that's also like fine.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of an abrupt ending, which I think now doesn't play super well, but like in general plays pretty well, because if you're a kid and you're watching it, they've won. Movie's over, right?
Yeah.
But I think it is a bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, I think it's around the Scream to John Wick area.
Okay.
Fast 5 to John Wick area. Just because there's like... It's okay. I think also the one, I guess, major female character is kind of weak.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all minor stuff that like these movies are separated by decimal points. They're not even like... It's not like one's a 4-star and one's a 5-star and one's a 6-star. It's like...
Can I be entirely honest?
What?
Like, I think I'm too focused on, like, I want to put it above, like, West Side Story and Scream.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I kind of want to put it below About Time, John Wick, and Isle of Dogs.
Really?
So, like, I'd be fine to just put it where you initially... Or,
like, put it at 16, 17?
do you want to...
This is some hard deliberation.
Dude, this is tough. Do you want... What would you feel better about? Putting it between About Time and John Wick at 17? Or sorry, at 18? Or putting it below John Wick above Isle of Dogs at 19?
I'm
like,
gonna
do you
have
think
to,
it's better or
I'm gonna
worse
be
than
honest,
John
I
Wick?
zoned out.
Do you think it's better or worse than John Wick?
I think it's a little better.
Okay. Do you think it's better or worse than About Time?
I think it's a little better. That's why I put it at that Scream area. I think it's like on par with Scream and Fast 5.
Can we put... Ugh. Ugh.
You have 3 seconds
Can
to
we put
pick.
it below About Time? I'm just
Sure.
knocking it down one
Yeah,
spot
man.
from you.
Yeah. You were asking my opinion. I'm okay if we compromise and put it there.
Okay.
But I'm also...
Which is funny because initially I was like, I want to put it higher than what you said.
But also, like, you're going to have something coming for you tonight. So you better sleep with one eye open.
All right.
That's a threat on your life.
So, The Karate Kid, 1984, is sitting at 18 on our list, below About Time, above John Wick.
Wow. What an incredible development that is. Adam, take us out.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. We hope that you like karate. Remember, it's important to know how to defend yourself in any sort of situation where you'll get fucked up. So learn to defend, learn to attack, learn
He's currently doing wax
learn
on,
to
wax
have
off.
a little snack.
And he's mimed eating some very sloppy pudding. It's running down his chin.
That's just my
Oh my
drool.
God.
Sorry.
Why
Next
is it
week we'll be
brown?
watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
With Gene Wilder.
1976 or something.
An even older movie. Yikes.
I bet you they're gonna say something very bad.
I'm excited to see a kid blow up like a blueberry.
I don't think that really happens in this one.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate you.